everyone, welcome to the channel. This is the beginning of a structured 5-part series on AI. Not from a hype perspective, not from a top tools angle, but from a business, strategy, and power perspective. Over the next few weeks, we're going to break AI down through 5 major lenses. We'll look at business models, consulting, industry disruption, career strategy, and finally, AI and power and economics. Because AI isn't just technology, it's infrastructure, it is capital allocation, it's a competitive advantage, and it's set to redefine how businesses are built from the ground up.
Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Most companies that call themselves AI companies, well, they aren't. They're traditional businesses that are just using AI features. And that difference, it's not just cosmetic, it is structural.
And at the end of the day, it's that structure that decides who wins. So to really understand this winning structure, here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to draw a clear line between AI-enabled and AI-native. Then we'll unpack the 5 core traits of these native businesses. After that, we'll get into why this distinction is so critical, look at the big risks, and we'll finish up with a strategic checklist you can actually use. All right, let's dive in.
So let's start with a really simple but incredibly important distinction. What is the actual difference between a company that uses AI and a company that is AI?
Okay, so an AI-enabled company is pretty much a traditional business that bolts on AI to get better at what it already does. Think about a bank using machine learning to sniff out fraud, or a retailer using AI for product recommendations. The AI makes their operations better, for sure, but their core business model doesn't really change. Now, on the flip side, you have an AI-native company. These are built from day one, from the ground up, with intelligence as the product. The model isn't just a feature, it is the core value. We're talking about companies like OpenAI or Anthropic. Their product isn't software in the old-school sense, their product is pure intelligence. And that changes the entire game. So how do we actually spot these AI-native companies out in the wild? Well, they tend to share 5 key structural traits that are all deeply connected. Let's break them down, one by one. First, and honestly, this is the most important one, intelligence is the product. With old-school software, you're selling access to a tool, a workflow. But with an AI-native company, you're selling decision-making capability. It's a huge shift. The value isn't just in a pretty interface, it's in the raw cognitive power of the model's output.
And because intelligence is the product, the entire cost structure gets flipped on its head. A traditional business might need more factories or more stores to grow. AI-native companies? Totally different. They have these unbelievably high upfront costs to train their models. I mean, it's incredibly capital intensive. But once that model is trained, serving 1 more customer or 1 million more is relatively cheap. The training is the massive, one-time mountain to climb. Serving customers is where the incredible scale kicks in.
This unique cost structure is what makes the third trait possible, the data flywheel. And this thing is a beast. It's this powerful, self-reinforcing loop. More users generate more data. That data gets fed back in to make the model better. A better model gives better, more useful answers. And of course, better answers attract even more users. See how it works? This isn't just a network effect, it's compounding intelligence. The product literally gets smarter the more people use it.
Fourth, and this flows directly from that flywheel, is just extreme scalability. Think about it for a second. These businesses aren't held back by geography. If the cloud infrastructure exists, they can go global, instantly. Through APIs, their intelligence can be plugged into basically any industry, serving millions of people without having to hire millions of people. It's a level of scale we've just never seen before.
And finally, all of this comes together in their core assets. They look completely different. You won't find warehouses or real estate defining their balance sheets. No way. For AI-native companies, their competitive moats are built on intangibles, access to massive amounts of compute power, unique and high-quality data sets, their proprietary model architecture, and of course, critical partnerships for infrastructure. Their whole risk profile and competitive advantage is just built differently.
Okay, so we've defined the what. We know the 5 traits. Now let's talk about the so what. Why does this distinction actually matter in the real world for real businesses?
If you're a founder building a company right now, you have a fundamental choice to make. Are you just adding AI as a cool feature to an existing model, or are you truly building intelligence as your core product? This decision is going to impact everything: who you hire, how you raise money, your entire tech stack, and your defensibility in the long run.
And if you're an investor, you have to throw out the old playbook. Traditional metrics like EBITDA, they just don't tell the whole story here. For these AI-native companies, you need a totally new lens. You have to look at the trajectory of the model's capabilities, how unique their data really is, and how solid their compute partnerships are. The big takeaway here is that a model's future potential can be way more valuable than its revenue today.
And for all you consultants and corporate leaders out there, this is a huge warning. A lot of enterprises think adopting AI just means plugging in a few APIs into their creaky old systems. But real transformation, that often means you have to redesign your entire data architecture from the ground up. Just slapping on some AI isn't going to cut it. The entire logic of competition has changed.
So, the strategic implications are obviously massive for everyone, but this new model isn't a golden ticket. It's not a guaranteed win. It comes with its own very unique and very high-stakes set of challenges.
I mean, they're facing some serious headwinds. Model commoditization is a huge one. Powerful open-source alternatives are popping up that could wipe out their edge. As they get more popular, the cost to actually run the models, which is called inference cost, can skyrocket. Then you've got governments and regulators getting way more involved around safety and data. And finally, there's just this brutal, cutthroat competition for the limited amount of compute power on the planet.
At the end of the day, you have to remember this. This isn't magic, it's economics.
So to help you separate the real strategic players from all the marketing fluff, I want to give you a quick, actionable checklist you can use.
If you really want to think like an AI-native founder or investor, you need to be asking these 5 questions. First, is intelligence the actual product, or is it just a feature bolted on? Second, do we own our data, or do we have a really unique way of structuring it? Third, can we actually create one of those data flywheels that makes us smarter over time? Fourth, have we really truly planned for how much it's going to cost to run this thing at scale? And fifth, what's our defense when, not if, but when open source models get way better? These questions, they get right to the heart of it.
So, to wrap up the core idea for today, an AI-enabled company uses intelligence to improve. An AI-native company is an intelligence engine. One optimizes the old systems, the other completely redefines them. In our next explainer, we're going to dig into how these companies actually make money and where the real value is hidden.
Hey, if you found this valuable, please subscribe and follow along because this series builds on itself week after week. And I'd generally love to know, in your industry, are you seeing companies actually become AI native, or are they just slapping on the AI-enabled label? Let me know what you're seeing in the comments below. I'll respond to the most thoughtful ones. Thanks for watching.